I went for my firearm to put it on my waist, and I turned around too fast, and it discharged.
And where did it hit her?
I think it was in her chest or so. Yeah.
So what did you do at that point?
At that point, I checked myself to see if it hit me, because I didn't know if it hit her at that point, because I thought it hit me because I was trying to put it in my pocket on my waist, and when I looked, it hit her, and I looked at her and I screamed her name, and then I grabbed her, and I wasn't able to pick her up or fully, and I tried to pick her up, and I couldn't get her to the door, and I dropped her, and that's when I left.
On Monday, August 4th at 11:01 p.m., Ankeny police officers were called to Wood Spring Suites at 6703 Southeast Bellagio Drive in reference to an unknown problem. The first officer arrived and was directed to a guest room where he located a female guest with a gunshot wound to the chest. This female was identified as Mia Holmes of Ankeny. Officers and fire department personnel provided life-saving measures, and Holmes was transported to a local hospital but ultimately died from her injuries. Holmes was pregnant, and her unborn child did not survive this ordeal. Ankeny police officers and detectives interviewed several people and are currently attempting to locate Donault Logan for questioning. A material witness warrant has been issued for Logan, and he is believed to be driving a red 2006 Saturn Vue with no license plates. We're asking for anyone with information as to Logan's whereabouts to call Polk County Dispatch or the Polk County Crime Stoppers. You can submit your tips online at crimestoppersofcentraliowa.com.
We are about to watch the Iowa parole hearing of a man who was convicted of negligent homicide for killing his pregnant girlfriend. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and now he is up for a chance of parole after serving about 3. I'll unpack with all the details at the end.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Looks like we're going to be speaking with Mr. Logan. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there anything that you'd like to share? Any updates that we should be aware of?
No updates. Everything's current.
Okay. Colleagues, do you have any questions?
I do not.
And just looking at the information, I want to ask the question if there's anything we need to know about how we communicate with Mr. Logan today. I'm looking at some of the scores.
Yeah, he is pretty nervous today and is nervous to talk about his crime just because it's not something that he's really shared with much. But outside of that, no.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe we can go ahead and bring him in. Good morning, Mr. Logan. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. I'd like to introduce the panel that's going to be conducting your interview today. Joining me at the very far end is James Moses. In the middle is Meredith Lamberti, and I'm Susie Weinock. I want to let you know that we're in a public forum, and that means that the public and the media can listen. However, they're unable to participate with us today. You need to know that during the course of this interview that we could be talking about your personal and confidential information that includes, but isn't necessarily limited to, your mental health history, your medical history, and your treatment history, possibly other confidential information. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you wish to continue?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to share with you the process. We want to have you at ease as possible so that we can get good information today, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So the three of us may each have questions for you. Once we've asked our questions, I'm going to come to you and ask you Mr. Logan, is there anything further you'd like for us to know today? Anything that you want to share with us that you've prepared or you've thought about during this interview? Once you've completed that, we will then go into a discussion. You'll be able to see us, you'll be able to hear us as we discuss what we've read and what we've heard today. Once we have a decision, I'll come back, I'll deliver that decision to you, and that will complete today's interview.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay. I'd like to start with the first question and have you tell us about your crime.
I don't know how to really explain it, but I do want to take accountability for my actions in the situation. I had a firearm, which I wasn't supposed to have. Drugs was involved. I was moving too fast, and in the mix of everything, I end up my firearm ended up going off, and it hit my girlfriend, and she ended up dying.
Okay. So that was pretty high level explanation of the crime. And so I'd like for you to tell us what exactly was happening that day in a little bit more context.
So we was just being normal, chilling, watching TV, and went home. We was just laughing, talking, watching TV, laying there. I was rubbing her stomach, and I ended up getting a call that I had somebody was outside, and I was getting everything ready. And in the mix of that, that's when all of that had occurred.
So I want to start, you were rubbing her tummy,
Yes,
you said,
yes, ma'am.
and somebody called to meet you, you were to meet outside and you were getting things ready. What were you getting ready?
Drugs,
Okay. What kind of drugs?
marijuana.
Any other types of drugs?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So now tell us what happened. You were getting things ready and what happened?
And I went for my firearm to put it on my waist, and I turned around too fast, and it discharged.
And where did it hit her?
I think it was in her chest or so. Yeah.
So what did you do at that point?
At that point, I checked myself to see if it hit me, because I didn't know if it hit her at that point, because I thought it hit me because I was trying to put it in my pocket on my waist, and when I looked, it hit her, and I looked at her and I screamed her name, and then I grabbed her, and I wasn't able to pick her up or fully, and I tried to pick her up, and I couldn't get her to the door, and I dropped her, and that's when I left and to get help. And then when I couldn't find nobody, I called the police, and I told them everything. And then
All right. Thank you for sharing that. I do want to let you know that we have some victim statements today. And we're going to ask them to keep their comments directed to the board. And at this time, you're not to engage or respond to anything that's said. Do you understand?
yes, ma'am.
All right. So our victim liaison is going to shepherd this process for us. Heather?
So my first statement is going to be on behalf of Mia's mother, Ria. And her statement is, as Mia's mother, I can't explain or express the hurt, pain, or loneliness that I have without her. Mia was my side ride or die. I want everyone to know that the bond I had with her is like no other. I truly feel that if this was an intentional act, I, as her mother, would know. But I can't get it out of my head, or I can't stop hearing the screams for help or seeing the videos from that night, and that alone shows me that this was an accident. Not only that, but the moments before when the kids were all happy and everything was fine, I don't understand how something could have changed. I understand that nothing or anyone can bring my daughter back or my grandchild, but hate revenge is never going to make things better or allow for anyone to heal. Not many got to see Mia and Donault on a day-to-day basis or interact with the couple on a regular basis. However, I did. I believe it would be different with everyone's healing and emotions if everyone else was there, if everyone else knew, seen, or had part of the evidence or been there when this happened. I can't shake this day. I still hold on to that there is no way this was malice or intentional. I pray that the right decisions are made and that they are in good taste without vengeance. I pray that somehow everyone will begin healing and get a better understanding and know that Mia's death wasn't intentional. I miss my daughter beyond measure. The next statement is from Mia's brother, Xavier, and he wants to say that we were the evidence and it was an accident. And then our next statement will be from Mia's sister, Zayana. And so I'm going to, Rhea, I'm going to promote you guys. If you'll accept this, I'm going to promote you to a panelist. Once you have accepted that, you can unmute and you can choose to leave your camera off or turn it on, whatever is Zayana's preference. And once you have done that, you can start sharing your statement, Zayana, whenever you're ready. Rhea, are you able to unmute? You had it unmuted. If you could do that again. Perfect.
Yep. Hello?
Hi, we can hear you. So when you're ready, you share your statement, okay, Zayana?
Okay. I just say what you feel. Not the story. Just tell me. I just honestly think that this was all an accident because, like, if everybody got to see how close Mia and Donault were, like, you could just tell that they had a bond. They had a future planned together. They were gonna have their kids, and that night, like, I could tell what he was going through because after it all had happened, I went up there to check what was going on, and me and him were like running and trying to find help from people, and there was really nobody around because it was kind of like nighttime-ish. So he just called the police, and then yeah, I don't really know what to say.
That was great. Is there anything else you would like to add? And it's okay if it's not. I just want to make sure before we move you back to an attendee.
Can you guys just let Donault know that that I love him and I miss him?
All right, thank you, Zayana, for sharing that. We're gonna move you back to attendee now, and then you'll be able to continue to listen. And then we have one last statement to share from a victim statement, and it is on behalf of Mia's grandmother, Evelyn. And Evelyn would like to share. Mia Celeste Holmes was born May 3rd, 2003, the fourth child in a family of 7. She was bright, vivacious, spunky, and loving. She was loyal and carried a mantle of responsibility beyond her years, staying with her mother to help care for her youngest brother and sister. She was also an integral part of Andra, Byron, Olivia, and Jaden's lives. A rare day if she wasn't talking or texting with them and her father and visiting when they could. Mia and the daughter she carried inside were taken from us August 4th of 2020 as a result of a gunshot inflicted by Donault Logan. In an incredible act of cowardice, Donault did not call 911 or otherwise seek assistance for Mia. He ran like a dog. His desire to avoid consequences for his behavior outweighing the most fundamental need to get help and to be there, leaving Zayana, the youngest child, to discover her. And he kept running until he was tracked down and taken into custody, tried and convicted. Those were the longest hours of our lives, the time between receiving a call that Mia had been shot in the chest and then several hours later hearing she didn't make it. For a few hours, we hoped the baby, who had been taken C-section in an effort to save her life, could be her mother's legacy, but she succumbed shortly thereafter. Neither mother nor child ever had the joy of looking into each other's eyes. And for the rest of us, we only got to see our first niece, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter nestled in her mother's arms in the casket in which they were buried together. Mia had a mere 17 years on this earth. Every day without her is hard. We all think of Mia every day. We close our eyes and we try to recall the sound of her voice, her laughter, her anger, her tears. We didn't get to watch Mia graduate from high school, give birth to her daughter, celebrate her 18th or 21st birthday. All things we should have enjoyed between that horrific day and today. As I struggle to encapsulate the holes that have been left in our very hearts and souls, how many more future shared moments have we been denied? We are not vengeful people by nature, no eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth mentality, yet we are forever burdened by grief. Has Donault truly accepted responsibility for his actions? Has he learned remorse? Has he learned to think of others before himself? I can't fathom that justice for the loss of Mia and the baby's lives is well served by an early release less than 4 years after that fateful day. I ask the board to deny parole. Donault should not be just another example of a guy who gets to move on with the rest of his long life with nominal consequences. Thank you, Evelyn. And that's all the statements from victims we have today.
Thank you, Heather. We'd like to thank each person for their statement today. We appreciate their engagement in the process.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Logan, I'm going to give you an opportunity to share directly with the board any response you may have.
I just want to start by saying that I am truly sorry for the pain and the hurt that I've put on everybody. Mia, that was my world. I love her like no other. She was the first person I ever loved, and I'm just sorry that I'm just sorry that all of this has turned into what it is today. That I hurt everybody. I wish I could take it back. I wish I would have did more things differently that day. I do wish that I have forgiveness and that they will forgive me. Because I know it's hard. It's hard.
Is there anything further you'd like to share?
No, ma'am.
We're going to go ahead and re-engage in the questioning process, and I'm going to move to my colleagues. We'll begin with James.
Thank you, Meredith. How you doing?
All right.
You have to excuse me. I'm kind of conflicted. When you go through your thought process of how you handled the situation, give me several things that you would have done differently.
Finding out, calling the police right away instead of trying to handle it myself and trying to get her to safety first to try to make sure that she was going to make sure that she can get the help that she needed from me first before I did any of that. So I wish that I would have called the police right away when it happened, right when I seen it. Knocked on the neighbor's door I wish I would have never had the gun.
When I hear you say gun, what kind of gun we talking about?
Handgun,
Handgun?
sir.
What kind of handgun?
It was a 9mm.
A 9. How much experience did you have with that 9mm?
None,
Huh?
none.
So were you aware of a safety when you got it before the exchange?
Yes.
But is it my understanding you didn't know the safety precautions of the gun?
No, I did. I just didn't, at that point, I wasn't in the mix of, when I was moving, I didn't know that the safety was off. I didn't check before I had picked it up.
Okay. You mentioned you was getting the marijuana together. How much marijuana are we talking about?
It was like a zip of weed,
How much?
like 28 grams.
How much is that value? What was you looking to collect on that?
$300.
Were there any other kinds of employment that you were a part of before that kind of exchange?
Say that one more time.
Was there any other kind of employment before that attempt or that exchange?
No, sir.
Was there any interest in any other employment other than that exchange?
No, sir.
I thank you, Mr. Logan, for your responses, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues.
For sure.
Thank you, James. Meredith, do you have questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions for you, Mr. Logan. So to follow up on that, what are your plans for employment moving forward?
I have my dad has set me up with this job. It's called Russian Delivery. It's a trucking agency.
Do you know how many hours you'd be working or what the pay is?
He said between 20 and 25, and I don't know the hours.
And your dad works there?
Yes, ma'am.
Would this be your first employer?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what other jobs have you had before?
I have worked at Hy-Vee, doing backroom, like restocking. I did construction at Iowa Demolition, and I worked at this tire place, Titan Tires.
And why did each of those employments end? Like, what were the circumstances that led to you leaving each of those jobs?
So when I worked for Hy-Vee, I was a juvenile. Uh, I was going to work more than I was going to school. So me having a JCO at that time, I was going to work more. So it put me in a bad predicament. So I had to quit my job to focus on school.
Okay. And what about the Iowa Demolition or the Titan Tires jobs?
I had quit that job. I had quit the demolition job because of my case now, the case that I'm on right now. And then the Titan one, I had quit that before I had came to prison.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
The Titan Tires one, I had to quit because I was on my way to prison.
Okay. So you were never fired from any job?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So it looks like the plan is for you to start at Kingdom Living. So can you tell us why you think that would be a good fit for you and what you know about the program?
I think it would just give me more structure, be able to attend classes, be in treatment, do therapy. I think that's really the main goal for me right now is to really get my therapy, get treatment, keep structure.
Do you know where you'd want to go for therapy?
So I had this one place, I forgot where, yeah, Broadlawns. It was at Broadlawns.
And then as far as transportation, do you have a driver's license?
No, ma'am.
Okay, have you just never had one, or is it one that needs to be like reinstated or a payment plan?
I never had one, but I had took this class here for me to be able to get my license. So the lady told me all I had to do was set up a payment plan when I went to go take my test.
Okay. So then, when you first start at Kingdom Living, what are your plans for transportation as far as getting to treatment, getting to work, things like that?
My mom either take me or my dad or my auntie, and my sister's supposed to be coming down for at least a month or so to help me out and stuff.
What are the main goals that you want to accomplish, let's say in the first year after you get out, and then in the first 5 years after you get out?
Working on my grieving process, being able to get things off my chest that I normally wasn't able to, and being able to talk about stuff without having not saying crying is not a bad thing, but being able to cry and not feel a type of way that I'm crying. Uh, uh, I finished school, so that's not a real goal for me anymore. You know, I passed that. Uh, I really want to get in college. I want to start my own businesses. Go from there.
What do you think you want to go to college for?
Business.
Yeah, it looks like you just got your high set earlier this year.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What was your favorite topic or your favorite class?
I say, I say, I say writing.
Writing. I liked writing too. Math was always my hardest. I think those were all the questions that I have for you, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. James, do you have any follow-ups?
I just have one question, Mr. Logan. For today, and since your time been there, I want you to think about this. What are 5 things that you value today?
Family, family, work ethic, peace, freedom, and love.
Thank you, Mr. Logan.
Sure.
Thank you, James. I have one follow-up question, Mr. Logan. I'd like to know about, it looks like you were in Prime for Life
Yes, ma'am.
and AA, NA. Can you tell us a little bit about your use of alcohol?
I didn't have any uses. I didn't use alcohol. It was just being able to listen to somebody else's story and being able to contract what they're saying and use it in life. You know what I'm saying? Whether at that time ever came or not. Because I have people in my family that are alcoholics, and listening to their story might benefit me from going down that path.
Okay. And we talked about your substance use. There was nothing more than marijuana. Was that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah.
Is there anything further you'd like for us to know today? It's your opportunity to share with us anything that you've thought about, anything you've prepared.
Now I've learned a big part about me, about controlling my emotions and being able to really use my values into place of knowing that if I do this, this affect this person, and being able to control the urges of when somebody does something to me, what should I do in that point? Being able to hold back and not retaliate or not do something to somebody because they did it to me. I've been able to figure out like everything about me. It just takes time, like just having patience and staying on point and knowing what's valuable in life.
Is there anything further you'd like to share? All right. So now's the time you're going to be able to see us and hear us as we have a discussion. However, it's not a time to participate. Once we have a decision, I'll come back. I'll deliver it directly to you, answer any questions you might have, and then that'll conclude today's interview. Okay. Colleagues?
Yeah, I'm going to support this recommendation for parole to kingdom living. I think that this is a great transition plan for him. I thought he had a really good interview. You know, these are the tough cases because when there's a loss of life, there's no amount of time served that can make up for that. And that's not really what we're here to judge. What we're here to look at is where he's at as far as, you know, rehabilitation, as far as his grief process, and then what we can do to set him up to be successful in the future. You know, this was an awful accident, and it's an accident that could have been avoided if there hadn't been drugs and guns involved. And I think he knows that. And, you know, I think it's clear in the interview how much he did care for Mia. And I do believe, you know, looking at the charges of involuntary manslaughter, that this was not a deliberate act. So I'm going to support this recommendation for parole with the 10C to kingdom living. I agree with the recommendations here. I think mental health is going to be the most important thing for him, like you said, to be able to address his grief outside of a prison setting. You know, we can absolutely understand, you know, the vulnerability of doing that there. Looks like his counselor's recommending also a substance abuse evaluation and the alcohol prohibition, which would fit with the requirements of kingdom living. So those make sense to me as well.
Thank you, Meredith. James?
Being conflicted at first, I too was very pleased and moved by Mr. Logan's testimony and comments today. I do feel that he was very humble. I liked his values that he shared with family, work ethic, peace, freedom, and love, just to be able to share that on the spot. I was very appreciative of that. As my colleagues stated, this is a very tough situation, especially when there's deaths involved. But it was good to hear from the victims, especially the mom, Xavier, Rhea, and Zayana, along with the grandma, Evelyn. My continuous condolences throughout this process that they share. But I felt Mr. Logan was very, very humbled and very sincere, as Mia was his first love. So I'm in support of this, of the DOC's position to the courthouse for kingdom living, and we'll accent all the codes that my colleague stated just shortly ago.
Thank you, James. I have the same comments. I would also add that, you know, Mr. Logan's been engaged. He's gotten himself to the highest privilege level. He's done what he's been asked to do. He's completed a high set. That takes a lot of work and a lot of engagement in order to do that. So I see him wanting to better himself. And I too am in agreement with the PGD3, the 10C to Kingdom Living in Des Moines. I would also agree with the 50A. I did toy, and I will share, I did toy with cognitive. He's 22 at the level he's at, and but he completed his high set. I think he's gotten some good training there. And I think I would be fine with just staying with the mental health unless y'all would want to add the cognitive.
I think I'd probably prefer to stay with mental health.
James?
I think mental health with therapy. I mean, him, having those feelings where, he has mixed emotions because he wants to cry, but not knowing how to feel about that. I think it'd be okay for him to, this is a incident that was worth having something to try to get better about, so.
All right, so we're in agreement. I'll go ahead and deliver our decision. Mr. Logan, you were able to hear our entire conversation. I don't need to go back over that, but we feel that you've done what you've been asked to do. You've risen in your privilege level. You've engaged, you've gotten a high set. That's something no one can take away from you. You can take it with you. It will help you as you progress in your future, the stability you're talking about with your job. We want to support you in moving you to the Kingdom Living per the DOC's recommendation. So it will be a 10C means that you're going to parole to Kingdom Living in Des Moines. In addition to that, we believe that engaging in mental health conversations based on this conversation today and what we're reading is a really good idea. And we're happy to hear that that's something that you're interested in doing. That grief process, it can be a long road, and having someone to walk beside you is going to be helpful. And then we want you to stay medication compliant at this time. And then those can change based upon what the expert in the room tells you when you go through mental health therapy, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then substance abuse, we want you to engage in substance abuse treatment. And in addition to that, the 50A, that means that you shouldn't be anywhere where the main activity is the sale of alcohol. So we don't want you to be in bars and where they don't serve food. And then also liquor stores. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you have any questions about our decision today?
No, ma'am.
All right. That concludes today's interview, and we wish you the best.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Good luck, Mr. Logan.
Another bizarre Iowa hearing, I think, and I had to listen to this multiple times. And what's strange to me about this case is how everyone, including the parole board, got lost in the fact they kept calling it was an accident. It was an accident. I know it was an accident. It was an accident. The parole board said it was an accident. And no one's saying that it's not an accident. He was charged for negligent homicide as it being an accident. He was given 5 years for negligent homicide and 5 years with possession to distribute. Can you imagine? That's how the legislation's written. Total of 10-year sentence. And they just kept harping on it was an accident. It wasn't intentional. And, I happen to believe it was an accident as well. And even the grandmother, who seems to be the only one with common sense in the room, understands that it was an accident. But it's what he did after, which is really probably, I think, what was done wrong. He shoots her and he leaves. He doesn't call police. The young girl who came on, you can tell, is being manipulated and pushed in every way. Her statement shouldn't hold any ground. She's even being coached while she's on the phone. She's the first one to find the body on the floor, and she's still alive at that point. He ends up serving about 4 years, and it's the idea that you can shoot someone you love and then run away. Remember what we saw in the intro to this. He got in his car and he disappeared. The police were looking for him. He was a wanted man. He ran away. That's what this is about. I mean, you can say, well, technically it's negligent homicide. Maybe it's, and we'll read through it. But again, it's like, and he didn't take accountability. I didn't hear that. I was in there and I hurt someone and I shot my gun. And then you have the guy on the right, whatever his name is. I dislike this entire parole board. I think they're just, and he's like, what kind of gun did you have? A handgun. What kind of handgun? A 9mm. Did you not know about the safety? Oh, I did. I just didn't have it on. And it's like, why don't you? What kind of questions are those? If you're going to ask what kind of gun, what kind of caliber, just ask what kind of model. Because, first of all, self-defense carry guns these days don't have safeties. So I'd be very curious to know if you're doing like an investigation onto what kind of gun it is. I mean, maybe I guess a revolver could have a safety. So I should say most carry self-defense guns don't have safeties. It's just the way they're designed. So if you're going to go into the investigation of what kind of gun it is, just ask him what model, because if the point is to understand what happened, just but he didn't even ask the model. And I get it. A really young and dumb kid, which is we're all dumb when we're young, with a gun, who has no idea to use it, you will do something like this. That's totally, I don't believe it was intentional from what I heard. But the idea that he would leave his pregnant girlfriend on the floor to die because self-preservation comes first, because he's afraid of getting in trouble, that's just messed up. And the amount of time lost, who knows? That could have been enough time to save her or the baby. The baby, this happened October 4th. The baby had a due date of December 1st. So we'll read through it. And she just does look like a wonderful person. Really is just so tragic. It's a beautiful family. That's not, they buried her in the casket with her baby. So we'll go through the timelines in order, and thank you, Richard, for providing this info. And then also at the end, his final statement. Again, he's young. You know, if you want to make excuses for him, maybe he didn't understand what they wanted. But the final statement's usually reserved for saying, I am sorry. Something like that. There was no sorry. There was nothing. And there was like how he learned how to control his temper in prison. That was it. And then they gave him another chance. Anything else you want to add? And again, yeah, this is terrible. You have their family that including the victim's mother that feels a certain. But again, I felt like they were lost. It wasn't about it being an accident. It was about what happened after, and that was. And this parole board is useless. Really, they are. Just useless. The shooting death of a pregnant 17-year-old and her unborn child in a Hotel Monday accident, the girl's mother said. Police responding to the late Monday 911 calls about the shooting found Holmes with a gunshot wound to the chest in the guest room, suites, extended stay hotel. The teen was transported to hospital where she and her unborn child later died. And they said later died, not pronounced dead. Police on Tuesday sought the girl's boyfriend. And he was 18 and she was, I guess so she was, okay. So it was, but anyways, okay. He was taken into custody late in the day. So it was a full day later, but no arrests had been made as of 6 p.m. Holmes' mother told the registry Tuesday that Logan told her that he was getting a gun from a bag when the firing went off, accidentally shooting her daughter. He ran through the whole place begging for help, Ortega said, and when they said they couldn't help her, he couldn't handle it, so he panicked and left. And I believe him. If it was anything different, I wouldn't believe him. The couple had been living at the hotel, Sodertego, whose residence in a guest room directly below them. She said she was not in the room when the shooting occurred, but quickly ran to it when she heard, she said. In a video posted to social media. So then he posted a video to social media recording himself crying with the caption, "I promised I didn't mean to kill my baby. It was an accident." So he's still running away and he's posting videos on social media. And it's the world of social media, and he's young and he's scared. And maybe in his mind they called police, and once they called police, he left. But and if you want to look at like that, and he served his time and all that. It's I don't know. It's just a horrible situation. Ortega said Logan loved her daughter, and the two are always wrapped around each other in photos. Her daughter suffered a miscarriage in November, and the couple were devastated, she said. An online baby registry, Logan baby was due December 1st. The police show no history of domestic issues. She suffered a miscarriage in November, so she would have been, that was a year before, so she would have been 16. Police continued to interview witnesses close to Holmes. Logan, additional suspect Tuesday. Separately, Logan is facing an illegal devil's lettuce possession charge in a case from May. Beyond driving offenses, he has no criminal record as an adult. Yeah. And then, so then you fast forward to this. So he was 18, she was 17 at the time of this. He was then charged with killing his pregnant girlfriend, what he told police was an accident during a devil's lettuce sale in August, and he pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter, which is a mistake. Donault Logan, 19, also pled guilty Tuesday to possession with intent to deliver. Logan, he was shot in an extended hotel just before 11 p.m. August 3rd, 2020. Holmes was shot in their second floor room. According to the search warrant, Logan was selling the devil's lettuce when he accidentally fired that gun and was struck in the chest. She and her unborn child both died after being taken to the hospital. He was scheduled to be sentenced in June, and that's when he was sentenced. So we're just going in order. This is June 18th. So it's basically 3 years to the date of his parole hearing, give or take a few days. At the time of this recording, it's July 1st, 2024. So 3 years, 10 years, pregnant girlfriend's death. So he's charged with shooting his pregnant girlfriend, what the police told accident, blah, blah, blah. He pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter. And that's pretty much it. Now his record, this is basically what he has like on his record here. So nothing major, just minor stuff. Possession of devil's lettuce, driving without a license. I mean, it's 4/16/2020, driving without a license. He gets cuffed for that, right? Somehow, so he gets found not guilty, and that's probably because they gave a plea deal, they gave a warrant, whatever. Then just like 10 days later, he gets possession of marijuana, first offense, and driving without a valid driver's license. And I get it; these things happen. Material witness. Then they threw the book at him, so they gave him non-consensual termination of pregnancies. That would have been for the shooting, so that's like a charge. Sexual exploitation of a minor, so they consider her a minor. They charge her for that. Fraudulent purchase of right? They threw the book at him, which they always do when you get arrested. And then they end up dropping it down to 2 charges, which he pled guilty to on 8/18/23. That's all normal. Oh, this is interesting. They got him operating while intoxicated, 3/17/2021. Oh, that's interesting. See, they don't talk about this. It seems that he was probably out on bail, on bond, and he picked up new charges. So while he's on bond for this, he 3/18/2021, when he's waiting for his sentencing, which was June 18th, 2021, he actually picks up new charges. He picks up driving with his revoked license, no safety belt, failure to register. So again, he's driving with an unregistered car, probably no insurance too. And then operating while intoxicated. And the idea that so this is, sorry, he's arrested twice while waiting for his bond. Because, yeah, wow. So he's arrested on 3/18/2021. And then 2 days before his sentencing, he's arrested for operating while intoxicated. They don't bring this up at his parole hearing. Or 2 months and 2 days before he's pleads guilty. They don't bring that up maybe that's why the judge gave him 10 years even. But they don't bring that up at his parole hearing. So it's like, let's see how he does when he gets out. I mean, if you want to be like all fluffy and warm and how the parole board is, you can say, well, he's dealing with a lot of stress and he's so young. And, we see a lot of people who with more experience do worse. But there's nothing in post, while he's waiting for sentencing that makes you feel. And the whole thing is a disaster. Anyways, I don't know. You tell me how you feel. Hopefully he does well. Hopefully he can live his life in the merit of the 2 lives that he took. I didn't feel like the remorse though. No tears. No final statement of sorry. It just leaves a bad taste. And with that, I'll let you go.